Troublesomes, it's Miracle and welcome back to my channel. If you guys are regular viewers, you'll probably realize my energy level seems a little bit off. It has everything to do with the subject matter at hand. And if you guys are new here, I just want you to know that I feel for you, because more than likely you clicked on this video because you or somebody you know is going through a trying time. And I just want you guys to know that I can make myself available to you if you need further assistance. My email address is MiracleAndHerMind@gmail.com. I can see if I can look up further resources for you. Otherwise, if you have any questions or concerns at the end of this video, make sure you drop it in the comments section down below so that other people, you know, who also have these questions can benefit from this information, or somebody else can probably inform you of what else you can possibly do during this trying time. But otherwise, I hope that this benefits you in the long run. Okay, so the first thing that I want to go over with everyone is how important it is to plan ahead. Guys, it is imperative that you do this. In the face of tragedy, life gets very stressful, and a lot of people who shouldn't be involved with stuff start getting involved with everything. Guilt comes into play, misunderstanding comes into play. You just want to make sure that while you guys are happy and able, if you're willing, if you are able to communicate and enunciate with each other, make sure that your desires are made clear right from the beginning, because there's no harm in talking about it. In the process of planning ahead, I would highly advise everyone to go ahead and go online and download what's called an advanced directive. Now, I've taken the liberties to download one so you guys could see what that form looks like. It looks similar to this. This one is for the one of the state of New Jersey. What this form actually ends up doing is allowing the person involved to make medical decisions for themselves before they face tragedy. It allows you to procure what's called a power of attorney, or another term for it is create a living will. This is you essentially assigning somebody to enforce all of your medical decisions should something happen to you and you're unable to communicate any longer. Anything that you put in this form, feel free to know that you are able to retract it and change and edit it, so you can just let your medical provider know, hey, I'm changing something, submit a new form, and you're good to go. Now, I want to go over some things that are inside this form because they're a little bit jarring if you're not prepared for it. So I'm just going to take the liberty of reading two sections for you guys. That way you're not caught off guard, because it's a little bit uncomfortable, to be honest with you. So I'm going towards the centermost portion of this form, and it says to initial one of the following two statements with which you agree. Number 1, I direct that all medically appropriate measures be provided to sustain my life regardless of my physical or mental condition. So this means doctor, nurse, whoever, do what you gotta do to keep me alive. I want to live. Number 2, there are circumstances in which I would not want my life to be prolonged by further medical treatment. In these circumstances, life-sustaining measures should not be initiated, and if they have been, they should be discontinued. I recognize that it is likely to hasten my death. In the following, I specify the circumstances in which I choose to forego life-sustaining measures. Guys, I don't want you to be upset if your parent or guardian chooses option 2. I want you to be able to know that they did not say that they don't want to live. What they said, they want control over the quality of their life. Another form that is also relevant to this conversation, this is called a DPA. This DPA card will, instruct everybody what your desires are for any sort of blood-related issues. Some people opt to receive limited to no blood transfusions in relation to their religious needs, or just for personal needs or whatever, what have you. This you would want to select to give to your medical professional, your primary doctor, and then keep a copy of this inside your wallet so that, medical professionals are able to look for this card on your person should anything happen to you. This is one more thing I would suggest that you do should your parent or guardian be able to articulate this with you. I would just suggest rather, that they create a will. Now, what a will do is make sure that they articulate where they want all of their properties or money to go to should they pass on, who's going to inherit what. It's important that this is done because death, unfortunately, brings a lot of vultures. There's a lot of people that feel entitled. It helps the whole process if everybody knows what they're getting and there's legal documentation to back that up. So just make sure that this comes into place. Make sure a will is created and make sure it is signed, dated, and notarized and given to the appropriate attorney or kept in some sort of file. So now tragedy has struck, and these are the steps that you would want to do to make sure that this whole process flows a little bit easier. If your parent or guardian has passed away at home or outside of the household, you want to make sure you call 911. You want to make sure there's someone there to officiate and or pronounce the time of death. If they are at a hospital, it makes it easier because any sort of medical staff is able to, relay that time. Now, if in the case you are waiting for an ambulance to come, what you would want to do is make sure that you gather all of this information, the advanced directive, and all of that information so that the medical professionals know what they are able to do, what they are not able to do. In the case that they do arrive to the scene and there is hope to resuscitate them, if you do not have that medical directive, they are going to do everything within their power to make sure that this party is alive and sustained because that is what they are required to do. Now, if your parent or guardian has advised that they do not want this, make sure you have that necessary paperwork so that they are able to honor what your relative wants. An autopsy is not always necessary during the time of death. If that is something that you want to forego, you can either contact the mortuary or the crematorium, and you want to make sure that whoever is going to transport the body, that they give you the price over the phone. Unfortunately, these people are in the business of death, so they are going to incur charges. So make sure they give you this information to you over the phone so you are aware of what you are going to be responsible for once they come to retrieve the body. The next step I would highly recommend is notifying. Notify the doctor, notify your family and friends, assign somebody who can undertake the responsibility of contacting all that needs to be contacted. Make sure that you call your parent or guardian's boss if they were working. If they were working, also inquire about any sort of life insurance plans involved or if they have any pending payments to see if they could be applied to you in your household. In the time that you have to go ahead and plan the funeral, I would make sure that you bring someone with you to meet with the funeral director. In that case, you're going to be planning all that you want to be done, whether or not you want them to be buried or cremated, whether or not you want a certain type of casket. Make sure that you bring somebody with you because they're able to help you look over the form so it is not going to stress you out. A lot of cases, they are going to try to upsell you. They are in the business of death. They are also trying to make their money. So they are going to recommend certain things that you don't necessarily need for the funeral service. It's added expense and it's a lot of money and it's very stressful. If in the chance that your parent or guardian was involved in any sort of religious organization or was a member of the military, go ahead and reach out to them too. Sometimes there are programs or some sort of benefit for being a part of that organization. They can help you with any sort of memorial costs, or they could have a whole program set so you have to do less planning. It is important that you acquire a copy of the death certificate. Usually if you go to the funeral home, they will supply you with those copies. Make sure you get as much as you need, because if you have to go back to the funeral home, it is a larger sum for them to have to print everything out for you versus if you go ahead and ask for them in the beginning. It's just a lot easier. I would even recommend 8 to 10 copies of the death certificate so you're able to release those to all financial institutions, also to any sort of government institutions, any sort of insurance claims or insurance institutions. You want to make sure that everybody gets a copy of everything, and then make sure you close out all of their bills. Make sure that they do not stick you with any sort of the bills, because they will try to, or what they'll end up doing is trying to attack the estate. So you just want to make sure that you go through these necessary processes so that you protect yourselves. And yeah, if your parent or guardian has been in a position where they have been dealing with a terminal illness and they have been receiving some sort of pension fund or anything from Social Security, what you would want to do is contact them as well. Sometimes there is a benefit for any sort of beneficiary if your parents have set that up already. And then they will also sometimes supply, the living relatives with some sort of funds to be able to help out that household. I'm going to strongly suggest this. This is a tip of a lifetime. When your relative is deceased, do not touch any of their bank information. Do not, because once the bank institution receives that death certificate and in turn you take out some funds after they've passed away, legally is bad news for you. So please do not do it. I don't know if this really is classified as a step or rather a suggestion, but earlier I did mention a will. Now, if your parent or guardian does not have a will, what you could do in the case if they do pass away is gather up all of their documentation. So make sure you have an awareness of where their driver's license is, their social security card is, their passport. Make sure you maintain a copy of the death certificate, and then you want to make an appointment with your local surrogate's office. With the surrogate office, they should be able to redirect you to speak to someone. I forgot the name of the person, so I'm going to insert the name like here somewhere. And that person should in turn be able to assign what's called the executive of the estate. So this person is going to be responsible for distributing anything that has to do with your parent or guardian. Make sure that everybody gets what they're entitled to. And yeah, that's it, guys. So guys, this is all that I have for you at this time. I hope that this video was beneficial to you. If you have any sort of other questions, feel free to drop that in the comment section down below. If you guys see that I missed anything, please make sure that you leave that for other people to benefit from. And then if anybody needs some further communications or whatever that case may be, my email address again is MiracleAndHerMind@gmail.com, where there's other forms of social media that you guys can get in touch with me with. I'm hoping and praying for the best for all of you, and I love you guys so much. Bye!